Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today, Chaos Bug 45 takes... hang on, is that the vampire again? That is the vampire again. Is this Vampire Month or something? Hey, I don't know, I guess it's a popular ship. I seem to be getting a lot of vampire replays lately. Anyway, what do we have here? Tier 10 battle, although the matchmaking spread is from Tier 8 to Tier 10. The majority of both teams consist of Tier 9s. There are 3 Tier 8s per team, 1 carrier per side, with the enemy team having a midway, and Chaos Bug's team having an Immelman. However, Chaos Bug's team do have one slight advantage, because of course the World of Warships matchmaker doesn't take into account the roles of ships, just the class of ships. So his team is the only one with the radar cruiser, the Tier 9 Soviet Riga. His team also, theoretically at least, has a coordination advantage because there are 2 divisions on his team and only 1 on the enemy team. So 2 players on the enemy team who theoretically are going to be coordinating closely together, compared to 5 players on Chaos Bug's team who again, theoretically, should be coordinating closely together. This, however, is a purely theoretical advantage because potatoes are as free to division up as super unicums are. We shall see what happens. So, Immelman's torpedo bomber's got some early spots off. We know there's an Akazuki on the far side of that island. And the Akazuki may only be Tier 8, but that kitty has claws. It's an extremely dangerous gunboat. Of course, it's no direct threat to Chaos Bug right now because it's on the far side of that island. Of slightly more pressing concern is this Smolensk, who does have a direct line of fire should Chaos Bug be detected. Torpedoes away against the Smolensk, and on the bright side the Smolensk has been and continues to be spotted, so the team are wasting no time taking advantage of that brief moment of visibility and shooting him up. Smolensk goes undetected, which means it was probably Chaos Bug who was spotting him, which means the Smolensk no longer has line of fire, so he feels able to start shooting at the Georgia there while continuing to cap. And then he gets momentarily spotted for a second, which I have no doubt caused a brief brown trouser moment. Not quite sure what that was. Couldn't have been the Smolensk, it's definitely not the Georgia. But he's now suddenly sharing the cap circle with someone else, mere seconds away from finishing the cap. Tucks himself in nice and close to the island. The Riga pops his radar. Oh look, there's the Akazuki. He is suicidally close to that Akazuki, but he does have, you know, some solid rock between the 2 of them. He's now so close, he's less than 2 kilometers away, that he's been proximity detected by the Akazuki, so put some distance between himself and the rock. Akazuki no longer spotting him. Akazuki, however, still detected himself, appears to have painted himself into a bit of a corner here. Chaos Bug would dearly love that Akazuki to not be there. Pops his smoke, slows down, and starts unloading. That Akazuki is having a really, really bad day. He's still spotted because the Riga has moved right up to the island and is either using his hydro or is just so close that he's got him proximity detected. He's being dropped by the Immelman. He's got a Harakazi 2 shooting at him from one side. He's about to get flanked by an Iowa, and of course he has Chaos Bug shooting at him. And he's trying to reverse out of all of this. That Akazuki isn't particularly fast going forwards. It's definitely not fast enough to get out of that by reversing. So that is a great start for Chaos Bug's team. They've gotten rid of an extremely dangerous destroyer. Chaos Bug's managed to flip Charlie. The Harakazi 2 up to the northwest has managed to flip Bravo, despite some resistance from an enemy Halland. Most of the enemy team over here are in full retreat. The Smolensk is getting the hell out of here. The George is getting the hell out of here. The Yamato that Chaos Bug's lighting up from the safety of his smoke screen appears to be unable to decide whether or not he wants to get the hell out of here, but I'm pretty sure that Chaos Bug is going to help him make his mind up. Oh, I just realised I didn't do my usual thing, did I? And give you a sort of capsule review of this ship at the start of the video. It's a daring with high explosive. There you go, that'll do. That's basically all you need to know. Oh wait, not true, there is one other very important thing, because this is an Australian version of the Daring, built to their specifications in Australia, one of the biggest warships ever built in Australia, and as a Commonwealth destroyer, it gets a creeping smoke screen. For those of you who have no idea what that is, normally when you pop a smoke screen, on a destroyer or cruisers equipped with smoke screens. It's active for a couple of seconds, it lays a big old cloud of smoke, and you have to stay inside that cloud of smoke, which lasts for a minute or two. Not so with the Commonwealth creeping smoke screens. The individual puffs of smoke only last a few seconds, but the generator is continuously generating fresh puffs of smoke, which means, in effect, that as long as you keep it down to 1/4 throttle or less, you can move and stay inside the smoke. Being able to move while staying inside the smoke means that you can avoid torpedoes like that. Not quite sure who those were from. The Smolensk? Possibly the Halland. We haven't seen much of him since he was attempting to interfere with the Harakazi 2 capping Bravo. I guess we'll find out. The other thing about the Vampire, I wanted to say Daring, but it does share the same hydro as the Daring and other British destroyers. It's a short range but extremely long duration. Not that it was of any use to Chaos Bug there, because when he spotted those torpedoes it was on cooldown. And oh look, there's the Halland. Yep. Right, enemy destroyer spotted. And the Halland is no slouch in a gunfight either. It may only have 2 turrets and 4 guns, but those guns fire damn quickly. This Halland, however, doesn't appear to make his mind up whether or not he actually wants to get into a gunfight. He's probably thinking that he's going to get all kinds of backup and support from everybody on his team right next to him, who should be shooting at Chaos Bug, but who for some strange reason apparently are not. Chaos Bug, on the other hand, did have support from the Harakazi 2, who had the initial encounter with the Halland over there in Cap Circle Bravo, and was thirsty for revenge, so that's another enemy destroyer taken care of. And this, kids, is why it's very important that whenever you see a destroyer, almost all of the time, regardless of what else you're doing, you shoot the destroyer, because you don't see destroyers very often, so it's important that you shoot at them when you do. Looks like Halland got his torpedoes up again, but yeah, they were not a problem. Now, if the destruction of the Akazuki didn't convince them, the destruction of the Halland definitely did. All the big boys on the enemy team over here, the Azuma, the Georgia, the Yamato, and the Smolensk, are now getting the hell out of Dodge. Unfortunately, things, while they are going very well over on this side of the map, are not going so well elsewhere. The team have just lost an Erland and an Iowa, and the Harakazi 2 over there is pushing dangerously close into the area, and he is being shot at by somebody, because he's pushing dangerously far into the area in his haste to take Capture Point Alpha, where the Erland was overwhelmed by huge numbers of enemy ships. Now, the Harakazi up there did do a great job in successfully flipping B here at the start of the match, but I feel he's been a little bit over-optimistic and far too ambitious trying to take A as well, especially since it just did cost the Erland his life. I mean, the team have 2 of the 3 caps, they're 1 kill up. Do you really need to push into 6 enemy ships in order to flip A? And if you do flip A, and he might, how's he going to expect to hold on to it? Chaos Bug, on the other hand, he's being a lot more cautious, but I think he's definitely doing the right thing. Instead, he's moved up to here, because this is the way the enemy team are going to have to come if they want to win.
Engine boost activated.
There was an enemy Kagero spotted up there by A for a couple of seconds, which means there are probably torpedoes incoming, and there he is again. And that Kagero was not air spotted, which means if we can see the Kagero, it's probably because he can see the Harakazi, and that cannot be anything but bad news for the Harakazi. Chaos Bug moving up. I mean, he wants to help the Harakazi out, he just doesn't want to lose his ship doing it. There are the Kagero's torpedoes. Suddenly a whole bunch of enemy ships just popped up, because they're shooting. Who do you think they're shooting at? And the Harakazi is just sailing broadside on to the Kagero. And that's not what you should be doing under these circumstances. You should be kiting away. Fortunately, the Kagero was sailing broadside onto the Harakazi. So that's another easy kill for Chaos Bug. And here come the rest of the enemy team. Jean Bart over there. Might be time to slow down and pop that smoke screen. Yep, there it is. Good. Because the thing about this creeping smoke screen is that it has a very, very short cooldown and lots and lots and lots of charges. Now, at the moment when Chaos Bug sank that Kagero, his team had 2 caps to the enemy's none, and they did have a 400-point lead. Unfortunately, Chaos Bug's team have just, in rapid succession, lost a Wukong and a Georgia. So they still have the caps, although it's hard to see how the enemy team could fail to take Alpha at this point. And they still have the points, although it's no longer a 400-point lead, it's now only a 300-point lead, and they definitely do not have a ship advantage. This is absolutely not the moment to push forward the way the Erland and the Harakazi 2 did. You need to hold on to what you've got. The enemy team are the ones who have to push. Let them make the mistakes. So Chaos Bug is sitting inside this smoke screen, and he can break off and disengage anytime he wants, and he's just trying to get as many fires set as possible, and do as much damage as possible to that Jean Bart. And he's doing a fairly good job of it, although his torpedoes are obviously going to miss. The team have managed to pull another kill back. And it appears at the moment to be only the Jean Bart over there who's actually in the cap circle at Alpha, and he's constantly being reset. He is getting dangerously close though, and there's 40 seconds remaining on Chaos Bug's torpedo cooldown. The smoke screen isn't going to last forever either. Ooh. Now the Jean Bart's guns are at least pointing the other way. 25 seconds left on the smokescreen generator. Chaos Bug now starting to think about his exit strategy. Jean Bart being forced to turn in thanks to the carrier airdrop, which allows Chaos Bug to switch to the armor piercing and start farming some more damage, since the Jean Bart is now giving him a nice flat broadside to shoot at. His torpedoes are about to come off cooldown. Unfortunately, the Jean Bart timed this really, really well, because he's about to slip into cover behind the island. Smokescreen has now expired. It's time for Chaos Bug to get the hell out of here. It is time to Didi Mao. He got spotted momentarily by the Jean Bart, but then again out of line of sight, thanks to the Jean Bart ducking in behind that island. Sadly, the team have lost another ship. There's now only 4 of them left. They still have the points lead, they still unbelievably have the caps. The enemy team haven't even managed to flip A, thanks to Chaos Bug's constant resetting of the Jean Bart over there. But if they keep losing ships, it doesn't matter how many points they're on, once you're down to 0 ships, you lose the game. Guys, you're winning. Stop trying to win harder than you already are. Just a minute earlier, the enemy midway sank their Riga, and the Azuma just took out the Immelman, so Chaos Bug's team no longer have a carrier, they've just lost their spotting advantage. And if you look at the positions of his 2 surviving teammates, with the Heisen all the way over on the western flank, and the Thunderer all the way over on the eastern flank, these crossfire positions occupied by these 2 battleships did allow the Thunderer to finish off the Jean Bart. But this obsession with taking up flanking positions in order to exploit crossfires can often work against you, particularly when you're outnumbered 2-1. Because if you can't turn these crossfires into kills quickly, you just end up getting focused down, because there's no mutual support going on. And that is more or less exactly what's happening to the Thunderer, because he is basically on his Jack Jones against an Iowa, a Smolensk, and a Georgia. Chaos Bug, on the other hand, while he is enjoying the extremely unwelcome attentions of the Midway, is working with the Heisen to try to focus down that Azuma. Honestly, I'm surprised the Azuma has lasted as long as he has, because he's managed to give broadside to both Chaos Bug and the Heisen at the same time. And in fact, in turning away like that, he's risking giving broadside to the Thunderer, who probably has problems. Oh, that's why the Azuma has lasted as long as he has. He's a cruiser giving broadside to a battleship, and the battleship is firing high explosive at him. So the Azuma, who would have died there if the Heisen had loaded armor piercing, is now fully aware that the Heisen is actually no threat whatsoever, and it is in fact Chaos Bug who needs to get his attention. So he's loaded the HE himself, which has forced Chaos Bug to pop his smoke. He's still able to farm large amounts of damage on the Azuma because, you know, broadside, and this rapid firing AP, it chips away and it chips away and it soon adds up. And the Heisen, of course, now that the Azuma had his bows pointing in towards him, loaded the armor piercing. And fortunately, thanks to Chaos Bug reducing the Azuma to such low health, that was able to finish him. They have, of course, also lost the Thunderer. I mean, of course they have. He was out by himself on the far northeastern end of the map fighting 3 enemy ships at the same time. This is the point where you need to stop trying to win any harder than you already are. You're outnumbered 2-1 again. You're never going to hold on to A, even if you're allowed to cap it. Not while the enemy team has a midway. You're 500 points ahead. If you can survive for another 5 minutes, you've won. And you ain't going to survive for another 5 minutes by pushing right up into the enemy team, particularly when they have a carrier. I can see what Chaos Bug is doing here. I can see what the Heisen is doing here. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I think that while the Midway is kicking the shit out of the Heisen, Chaos Bug should have been turning around and heading south as fast as he can, because he must stay alive in order to win this game. I can to a degree sympathise with what the Heisen is doing here as well, because staying alive when the enemy team has a carrier and you don't, and you're in a battleship, is a lot easier said than done. It's next to impossible for the Heisen to hide. But it's also next to impossible for the Heisen to close in and kill the carrier. So it's possible that the Heisen is thinking, well, if I want to wait out the clock and survive until the end of the battle, I must kill that Midway. But he's never going to be allowed to do that. Meanwhile, the enemy Iowa is definitely thinking on his feet. He's the one flipping the cap at Bravo, and is going to flip the cap at Charlie immediately after that, leaving it down to the Smolensk, the Georgia, and the Midway, and there's the Smolensk, to prevent this. Although they've probably left, it looks like Chaos Bug is actually going to get this cap, but there's no way he can possibly hold on to it. Then again, he doesn't really need to hold on to it. I mean, I don't think he made the right decision in coming up here and taking the cap, but he definitely needs to get the hell out of here. Oh, that's the Smolensk. Okay, the Smolensk is shooting at the Heisen, but he's shooting at you now. Because the Smolensk can do that very, very quickly. Then again, there is kind of a method to Chaos Bug's madness here. He didn't start shooting at the Smolensk until he was sure he could get the island between the two of them. So you can see his thinking, but he's playing with fire here. The Midway's still occupied with the Heisen. I mean, the Heisen's gonna die. No question about it. Chaos Bug, don't do it. Don't you do it. Yes, the Smolensk is shooting at the Heisen again, but you've seen how quickly the Smolensk can rotate its turrets and reload its guns. He's doing it again. But again, he's timed it very, very well. He's managed to get some shots off at the Smolensk with no opportunity for the Smolensk to return fire. But now you must get out of here, because that Heisen is going to die very, very soon. And the Heisen has died, and now they're all going to be coming for you, and you are far too close to them because you came up here to flip A. You now have to stay alive for the next 2.5 minutes with a Midway and a Smolensk hunting you. And the Daring is not the fastest of destroyers. Well, I say the Daring, it's the Vampire, but it's based on the Daring, and it's not the fastest of destroyers in the first place. He's got less than a minute remaining on his speed boost, and even if he had all the time in the world left on his speed boost, he's not as fast as the Midway's aircraft. He left it so late to disengage and get the hell out of here that the Midway doesn't have to look very far in order to find him. Even before he flipped the cap at A, he was so far ahead on points that he didn't need to flip the cap at A, he just needed to stay alive and run the clock down. And he hasn't been allowed to hold on to A. As predicted, the Smolensk is flipping it back. The Iowa has taken Bravo and Charlie, but here's the thing. He didn't need any of those cap circles because he was so far, and is still so far ahead on points. What he needed to do was stay alive until the end of the match, and he's made it harder for himself to do that by coming up here to the north in order to flip that last cap circle, which he didn't need anyway and couldn't hold on to, because that's put him closer to the ships that are pursuing him. And he's not the fastest ship in the world anyway. And he's definitely not the fastest ship in the world when he's slowed down to a quarter throttle in order to stay hidden inside his smokescreen. And that smokescreen is the only thing keeping him alive right now. And he keeps trying to get a little bit more speed and nose out of this smokescreen, and gets momentarily spotted. And while the Iowa and the Smolensk can't see him, the Midway's aircraft can. They are circling overhead. They're waiting for him to do exactly that. The Iowa, the Smolensk, possibly also the Georgia, are all blind firing into the smoke. And it ain't the biggest smokescreen in the world either. They don't have to be particularly accurate. It's a fairly simple mathematical equation. You take the volume of fire, you take the area that the fire is being directed into, and at some point you're gonna get hit. Oh! that was the Smolensk. He's down to less than 500 health. Puts on a brief spurt of speed, because if the Smolensk just fires again at the exact same spot, he's going to kill him. The Smolensk actually set him on fire there, and with 500 health remaining, can one tick kill? I don't know. Let's not find out. He's used the damage control. Everybody's still pumping fire into this tiny, tiny little circle of smoke. The Smolensk is now so close you can see him shooting through the smoke. Chaos Bug panics, pulls on the throttle, gets spotted by aircraft, and the match ends. Chaos Bug, tell me, inquiring minds want to know, did you enjoy playing with matches when you were a child? Congratulations on the Solo Warrior, but I think we can probably all agree that you made that a little bit harder for yourself than it needed to be. Then again, if you hadn't done it the way that you did, it wouldn't have been nearly as exciting to watch in the final minutes, so I guess congratulations on the Solo Warrior. And everyone else, I hope you enjoyed it, I hope it's given you something to talk about in the comments, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.